Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's Friday the 13th. What do they say about Friday the 13th, Dennis?
Everything bad happens Friday the 13th,
Like
allegedly.
What? Like what?
Getting stuck in a lift.
The sun gets stuck. The sun rises and then it stays somewhere.
Stay somewhere.
It doesn't move.
Sisongi.
You get into a lift and you get stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't use the lift, you're fine.
You can also fall on the stairs, so pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
you use the stairs and then you
You fall.
Hey, where did this begin? Where did it come from?
White man problems?
Audio problems?
Yeah.
Okay. It is Eric and Dennis Aseta today. City is away, and as well as Ndu, she's also away. She's recuperating. She's been having a horrible flu, but she will be getting better. And hopefully, both of them will be back right here on Monday. Yes?
Yes. Yes, inshallah.
Yeah. So we've been talking and telling you about what the KCB Foundation did a couple of years back. They decided, you know what, enough of just sitting back and watching, and we can do something about it. Mm-hmm. And this is about addressing the issue of unemployment. For many people, unemployment goes back into lack of skill, goes back into no access to skilling platforms. Mm-hmm. And so KCB Foundation decides, you know what, let's come up with a program that encourages people to get a skill, and beyond getting a skill, to get employment. And not just employment. If you can actually get yourself self-employed, it works even better.
Even better.
They call it 2jiajiri. So all those people who sat back and decided that thing, they look back and they see the number of people that it has impacted. Mm. And now it's not just about the KCB Foundation, it's about communities. Anyway, our guest is Mendy Njonjo. She's the KCB Foundation Director, and she'll tell us more and more about it. Mendy, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Have you heard of this Friday the 13th story?
I have. And I think, like you, it may be a bit of a cultural import, but I will also not lie when I say on Friday the 13th, I take extra steps to be careful.
Really?
Yes, I do.
You got infected.
It's like the black cat.
This is the day when we no longer use our watches to count our steps.
You're like, I don't know. Before I make any move, I've got to think thrice.
I gotta calculate.
Not thinking twice.
Yeah.
It's thinking thrice. Karibu sana, Mendy.
Asante sana.
You'll tell us more about this. We've been talking about, we've been talking about the numbers, and hopefully in coming days also, we want to have the people who have benefited from this program to come here and tell us their story. So we can then see, all right, so what is your story? Where did you come from? How did you get into the 2jiajiri program, post 2jiajiri program? Show us the results, but you'll tell us the thinking around it. You'll give us the overall and overview figures around it. But to welcome you, our gentleman here called Dennis Aseto works very well with a company called Del Monte. I know you know Del Monte.
I do.
Who doesn't know Del Monte? Okay? Del Monte doesn't make juice. They do what?
They make an experience.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And it is an experience that comes from the fact that they understand what it is you love. Which among the fruits do you like? Which one?
Pineapples.
Pineapples, yeah. And now what Del Monte has done is they've taken their time to go into these farms to select that fruit that will meet your taste buds the way you like it. It is all about ensuring that these fruits have naturally just ripened. They are ready to go. And the good thing is Del Monte does not add any preservatives, no added sugar. Everything is natural. That goes into addressing your nutrition, making sure that when you taste or you drink Del Monte, you enjoy that drinks the way you like it. And just because we're talking about it, I remember that there are no preservatives, and it is refreshing, and the quality is what? Top notch. And when you talk about being real, KCB is dealing with real cases on a daily basis, right? We're talking about unemployment and addressing that, giving skill. These are real stories. Del Monte is real in the sense that when you enjoy your favorite pineapple drink, it is real, begetting real. And with that, let me just hook you up with the pineapple. And When we talk about pineapple, we say Christmas comes early, only on the Situation Room. And I'll not only give you pineapple, but I'll give you Del Monte Gold Pineapple. Real begets real. Eric, do you want some?
Of course. But you'll give me later.
Later.
Thank you.
That is gold pineapple.
Gold pineapple. Not just pineapple.
No added sugars, no preservatives, right? It is your pineapple in liquid form.
Thank you.
Yes.
Karibu sana. I will give you the day's proverb. All right. The proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Lesotho. And the city has been telling us it because of where it's located. The entire country is elevated, several hundred feet above sea level. So it's an elevated kingdom. Okay? Today's proverb: what the people think cannot be denied. What the people think cannot be denied.
Okay.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I think they may be referring to a situation where sometimes perception becomes the reality. And if I also think of this Friday the 13th thing, after a while, if you become a believer in Friday the 13th being ill-omened, then a little stumble that would have otherwise been pretty innocuous, it becomes, a realization of that particular incident. So I think for me, it's that sometimes perception becomes your reality. That's my interpretation of that proverb.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's a very interesting interpretation of it. Yeah, perception can become reality. Yeah. What the people think cannot be denied. Nice one. Nice one. There are people who don't know the KCB Foundation. So let's start from that very top. What's the KCB Foundation? How is that different from KCB, the bank?
So the KCB Foundation is the corporate social responsibility arm of the KCB group. And usually when I have that conversation, guys are like, corporate social responsibility. So we are the arm or the subsidiary that was set up by the KCB group to basically carry out all our social impact initiatives in the East and Central Africa region. So as KCB Foundation, we decided to work on education, and we decided to work on livelihoods. So this 2jiajiri job employment creation program, as well as other initiatives, because we really wanted to make sure that as the KCB group, we were also giving back to the communities that have allowed us to be in business for at least 127 years. So that's who the foundation is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you get your funding from?
So we get our funding from the KCB Bank. So KCB Bank Kenya, as well as also with partnerships with other donors. One of our biggest programs in the livelihoods programs, we're in partnerships with partners like the MasterCard Foundation. We also have funding from other, both local as well as non-Kenyan donors. And together, we've been able to come up with support for these two programs that I mentioned, so the education as well as the livelihoods, to really allow us to try and jumpstart the communities that we live and work in.
Mandy, what's the difference between education and livelihoods?
So education, we focus on scholarships. So we take young people from high school all the way through tertiary. And it's based on the notion that I think you can all agree with this, which is that you give people an education, especially really underprivileged young people, economically, but are seriously bright. By the amount of seriously bright Kenyans is mind-boggling. As well as also children who are facing harmful cultural practices or others who have been excluded from school. So all of those, we try and make sure they get a chance to access education, because we think that's one of the biggest levelers. And we take them from high school all the way through tertiary. And then our livelihoods program is now the adult-facing program. And this is to give people a chance to really get money in their pockets. It is so, so important, you know? So for us, that is, I think, the key difference between the two programs. They're all aimed at prosperity. One is for the younger people, and then the other one is now for working age East and Central Africans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2jiajiri,
Yes.
is it in education or in livelihoods, or is it both?
So our our education program is KCB Scholars.
Okay.
2jiajiri is what we call our economic development programs across the board. And they have a livelihoods element where we teach, or rather we support people to acquire the work skills that they require to become able to participate in the workforce. And then our biggest element in 2jiajiri is also our support for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So 2jiajiri is our catch-all program for all the economic livelihood activities we do as KCB Foundation.
And 2jiajiri, as we speak now, in the country right now, we are facing unemployment on extremely high levels, and it is a subject of conversation. Even the president addressed it yesterday in the Jamhuri Day celebrations. But here is KCB coming in as a partner that deals with communities. I mean, your slogan is for better for people, and here's a situation where you are bringing in communities and trying to solve that situation. How is it like when you sit and deal with these stories on a daily basis?
So, on some level, it's very heartbreaking. I don't know if you all were able to catch the picture of a certain employer who had put out an advert for jobs. Although, when I say that, I have a feeling I have to say which one.
Which
right?
one? Because there are many.
Because there's so many,
Yeah.
right? So you'll put out an advert for 12 jobs, and it looks like an election line, right?
yeah.
It's twisting and winding. All these people are just lining up to get jobs, right? And for me, this is, in a picture, a snapshot of why programs like 2jiajiri or why the unemployment issue is so critical. It is heartbreaking, it is urgent. There's so many Kenyans who need jobs. And the flip side, the story that I choose to tell is that there are so many Kenyans who want to work, right? And we have to meet that mismatch between 150 jobs are available, 9,000 people are coming up for those interviews, only 150 will be taken, and sometimes the employer will not be able to even immediately utilize this 150 because they don't have the skill set this employer needs. So for us, we chose to intervene on that level, right? Because we knew unless Kenyans are getting employed, unless money is getting in people's pockets, then really we may not get to where we need to be quickly enough. Yeah.
So then let's talk about how 2jiajiri works.
Yes.
How does it work?
So we work in two ways. One is on what we call skilling. So, another foundation term for providing, I think, the easiest all-embracing term is education for adults who have left, let me say, high school or tertiary, right? And the idea is that if you listen to people like the Federation of Kenyan Employers, they'll say that they're only able to use around 20%, right, of the workforce as they leave whatever colleges.
As they leave college?
As they leave training institutions. They're not really able to absorb those people, right? They need an extra level of skilling, right? And then we also recognize that within almost all Kenyans, you'll find that there are also people who require just a little bit of extra skilling to be able to be either an employer or to be able to be employed or to be able to be self-employed, right? So what we do is that we intervene in this level in terms of providing skilling for these three sets of people. And we do this by partnering with, primarily it's with counties, because you'll find that the bulk of TVETs, and for us, we are really looking at trying to see how do we get a massive amount of people to be able to get the required skills that they need, right? So we provide scholarships so that these people can get TVET educations, usually 3 to 6 months, depending on the course that they take. And then after that, we work with other people to try and make sure that they get job placement to the extent possible. And then as foundation, we also work in things like creating an enabling environment.
Andy?
Yes.
Okay. So you are partnering with a training institution.
Correct.
Okay. And because it's county, it's the vocational training colleges at county level.
Yes.
Not the polys and the national polytechnics. These are already training people
Correct.
for the job market.
Correct.
But the job market is saying that the people that are being trained by these VTCs
Yes.
are not suitable for the job market.
Correct.
And then you're taking the people to the same colleges.
Yes and no, because what we've also been doing is that we have recognized that. Let me actually problematize that issue even more, right? Training should not just necessarily be for the skills of today. Yeah, you need to really train for 10 years down the road, right? If you're a curriculum that is really speaking towards what it is that the job market needs, right? So what we have found is that by partnering with TVETs, right, and by also, because the other intervention that we also try and have is really to try and make sure we are doing things like job linkages as well as also market linkages for people who are in business, right? So it is trying to see if we can get that market readiness for even the skills that are being provided within these TVETs as well as also private institutions. And I couldn't agree with you more, Eric, because one of the things we found is that when we partner, for instance, with our private TVETs, if you're teaching, for instance, hairdressing, the best lessons are from people who have a college that is actually encased in a hairdressing institution. So they have the latest market information in terms of what does hair,
They're
what
dealing
does
with clients
daily. So they have real-time market information. And what we hope is that through these collaborations, that we're now also able to really support even the TVETs that we work with in terms of even becoming more market ready for Kenya. So that's basically our bigger, broader ambition in terms of what we want to do as KCB Foundation.
Let's twist the knife a little bit more.
Twist.
So, the VTCs have training programs.
Yes.
These programs run, from certificate to diploma.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
Now, many of them are beyond 3 months. Even many are beyond 6 months. So then the KCB 2jiajiri program comes and starts to bring people who will only come into this institution and train for 3 months or 6 months, and then they're out. Why not just support the VTC and the students that it has to make sure that they're actually training better for the job market?
So
why do you have to bring your own people into my college when I have my own people that I'm training?
So to be clear, what we do is that we really believe in building on what is already there, right? So maybe let me explain how it is like the skilling program works, right? So we will partner with VTCX in X county, right? So what we prefer to do is that we get into partnerships with the counties who then now ideally would be providing matching funding to allow us to really be able to leverage on. If we're putting in 300 million, they can put in 300 million so we can support as many students as possible, right? When it comes to the intake, and your point is very well taken, right, Eric? What we're trying to do is that we will put out a call for scholars, right? So it is not KCB, we are not putting our students into the program, right? What we are saying is that we want to support a certain criteria of people. Typically, it's people who are 18 to 34, and this is really needs-based because 67% of unemployment is found in that age bracket. Typically, we will try and look for people who have a certain orientation towards employment, right? You want to go out, you have that grind mentality, if you will, right? And then we're also really trying to support people who otherwise would not have been able to attend the training center. So for us, our intervention is not even so much as coming to overlay a brand new set of programming. It is saying, so let's see who amongst your population can we support, right? 3 to 6 months, because we are also trying to do the upskillers, so the people who need a top-up, because again, we were trying to create mass entrepreneurship, right? So that's the intervention that we have chosen. So it's like recognition of prior learning is also coming into effect here. Correct.
Somebody who already is doing this, they're in this trade, but they just don't have the proper certification for it, the NITA certification. They come in through this, and then they'll get NITA certification, which helps them better in their trade.
Correct.
I get it. Okay. So when you say we are making a call for scholars to apply for the 2jiajiri program, what's the criteria that you use?
So typically it has to be in, so broadly, depending on the partner that we have aligned with. So let me pick the county example, right? Ideally, it should be somebody between 18 to 34, right? Not because we're excluding the people over 18 to 34, but that's also the typical demographic of people who will be attending the VTCs. You also have to be attending or want to pick up a course that has some sort of market readiness, right? So again, that upskilling that I was talking about. So we were looking at these sectors that have the possibility of employment, so construction, beauty, and so on and so forth, right? And then the third thing that we are also trying to make sure that our scholarship students also have is also what I was talking about in terms of a certain orientation towards, like, you really want to do this class, you want to finish, you want to go out and you just want to get a job or be an employer, right? So it's a set of these three things. That
Somebody with a drive.
Somebody with a drive, yeah.
How do you pick that out?
So there is quite a bit of work that has gone into just figuring out how do you do this sort of assessments, right? In terms of, Eric, I have a conversation with you and then I try and get a sense of what are your 3, 6 month, 1 year kind of like ambitions. And then also in terms of even the class that you want to take, even in terms of your attitude towards the program, right? So there's a set of questions that quite a bit of work has gone into figuring out, these are the sorts of things that will give you indicators, right? Again, indicators of whether this person is, interested in the class and will also apply the class post training.
So not just joyriders.
Yeah, not just joyriders. we are really trying to make sure we don't have joyriders in the program.
You're focusing on the impact.
Absolutely.
Right? Not
yes.
just the result of, we have trained so many people, we've supported so many people through school, and then where are they?
Yes.
They've just joined these other people who are not working.
Correct.
It's somebody who will come out of there and they have the drive to get something going.
Correct.
Let's take a break. It's 8:30. Kenya's biggest conversation is hosting Mendi Njonjo. She's the KCB Foundation Director. We are talking about the KCB 2jiajiri program, the impact that it has had. This is a program that's targeting 18 to 34-year-olds who are out of school, adults. 18 is an adult, right? Who is thinking, I need to actually get myself into the job market and I need to be better. So how do they do that? They help them through skilling, and they also help them, and you'll tell us, especially the part of managing your finances when you get out of school and you have a job and an income. This is something. Mendi, I know you fly quite a bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. So in the wee bit that you fly, you can go to 140 places out of JKIA on Emirates, right? And then Emirates has a business class, right? And the Emirates business class, Ebu, tell us your experience.
I think...
Is it true that you lie flat?
That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
Like you lie flat.
That is true.
And then they give you proper linen.
That is true.
And they give you pajamas.
That is true.
And you can even go home with the pajamas.
That is true.
At the duvet you live.
And
duvet, I think you live.
You live there. The duvet you live.
Right. Even the cutlery, which is real silver.
It's a proper silver cutlery.
It's proper silver. That one you live.
Proper China.
Uko. Proper.
Yeah.
And the meals?
So meals, it's menu. It
is,
I want this one and this one and this one.
It's a la carte.
It's a la carte.
It's not that it's leo tuko na ugali, shika. You choose what you want.
That is correct.
And then there's also Wi-Fi available throughout the flight.
That is correct.
And so when you're up there and people in the office are thinking, well, Mendi has like 8 hours before she lands, they're just seeing your emails. Right? You've heard it. Yeah, somebody who's done the Emirates business. This is what we keep telling you. Fly better, fly Emirates. 28 minutes to 9. Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This festive season, gift yourself the magic of realness, because
at standardmedia.co.ke. Our PO box number is 30080-00100, Nairobi, or deliver it to our offices at Standard Group Center, Mombasa Road, Nairobi.
the job creation and employment. So we talked about when you started. When did you start the program? 2016?
2016, yes.
Okay. How many people have gone through the program so far?
So we've provided about 150,000 jobs. We've been able to help create 150,000 jobs. We've trained 36,000 people.
Okay.
And
so 36,000 graduates of this program.
Correct.
Okay. And out of that, 150,000 jobs.
Yes. And in addition to that, we've also helped incubate about 11,000 businesses because we have an MSME component to this work. So
what does that mean, incubation?
So it is, in addition to skilling, I think I should also have mentioned this, a really important part of the 2jiajiri program is our MSME work. Where we know that if you want to help change the employment numbers, you really have to support micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. So what we do is that we provide non-financial support to these businesses through access to business development services in terms of financial literacy, sometimes it's technical assistance, and then we also partner with KCB Kenya, where they are now also able to access finance now as the MSMEs. So that element, the non-financial support, is now the one that I'm talking about in terms of incubation, where we partner with business development support organizations in the country to give them, training in terms of how do you make your business stronger, so that at least we have more sustainable, more long-lasting businesses in the country.
Now, when you talk about the programs that you undertake, it is not only something that KCB is doing on its own, it is a partnership with the other organizations in order to be able to lend help and ensure that these young people and employment is a reality for them. Yeah. So what are some of the organizations that you're working with in terms of, in making sure that your dreams become a reality?
So a big shout out to our funding partners, right? So KCB, I have to really acknowledge the fact that in terms of putting money back into the communities that we bank, right? So a chunk of our funding comes from KCB Kenya. We're also in partnership with entities like the MasterCard Foundation, as I mentioned. And it would also be remiss of me to not mention that our partnerships are also only able to get the impact that they exist because we have people like training partners who have come in to really provide the sort of training that our businesses, our young people need to be able to really get employed or to be employers. The co-funding partners as well. So like the counties that I mentioned, people who come in and say, we believe in what it is that you're doing. We want to put money into this work. And then our employment partners. So we've also partnered with other private sector entities who have said, hey, listen, if we look at maybe providing skilling to this number of people, we are also going to off-take their produce. We are also going to make sure that they have a market for their work, because without them, what we would be doing is really just training and not really having, if it's services that they are providing, their services will not have a market, or if it's the people who actually need a job, they would also not be able to get a job. So those are really the partners without whom 2jiajiri would not be the success that it is.
Which counties have you worked with so far?
So in 2jiajiri across the board, we work in all counties. We are
All
really
47.
strong in 41, but we work in all counties,
Okay. And when you say, so 36,000, because I just want to come back here, 36,000 have gone through the program.
Correct.
Right? And out of these 36,000, 11,000 businesses have been incubated. That is, you've helped to start a business.
Yes. Well, typically we'll work with people who are already in business.
Right.
And maybe they've stagnated, or they're struggling, or they are at the point where they want to ramp it up.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to come and add the math.
Okay, so let
So
me...
where we have 150,000 jobs out of 36,000 trainees, connect the dots.
So let me pick the 11,000 businesses. That tends to be primarily with our MSME the enterprises that we have incubated, the 36,000 people who we have trained, right? Those are people who will not necessarily go onwards to start jobs, to start
their own enterprises,
their own enterprises and
yeah.
so on and so forth, right? So this 150,000 jobs, the way we do it is that for every MSME that we start, we also count, or for every person we have trained who goes onwards to then now start an enterprise, we try and count how many jobs did you create, right? And for the enterprises that we've also helped incubate, we also try and track out of those how many employees were you able to have, were they part-time, were they full-time, did the jobs last? So that is how those numbers all add to this 150,000 jobs. Yeah.
How many have lost their jobs?
So in terms of the 150 number, I think just take that as a number that we have tried to see, because there tends to be attrition back and forth, attrition, and then some come back, attrition, some come back. So the 150,000 number is the one that we tend to look at in terms of these are the jobs that we think, in terms of just looking at data. There were some part-time jobs, so I created 4 jobs.
Yeah.
After 6 months, maybe 1 job was lost, but then after 8 months another job came back. So it's about maybe 2 years of longitudinal of looking at the data. So I'd say around 150,000 is perhaps a number you can take to the bank. Yes.
Yeah, no
you see
pun
what
intended.
I did, eh?
No pun intended. I'll let that slip.
Yes. Now, fine. There is the aspect of you work within training institutions and all that. And the end goal is to make sure that you have a product that is ready for the market. And this goes back to even going now behind how training institutions work, and that would be assessing their curriculum. What are they offering? Because we can't be offering the 21st century solutions using curriculum that is the 18th century. So it is a conversation that perhaps you're having with these institutions, is making sure that as much as we want to have a ready, a market-ready student, perhaps we relook at what you're offering as an institution.
No, that is absolutely correct. Because like for instance, this year, we are hopeful. We're still waiting for the data to come in, but by partnerships with people like the BOMA International Hospitality College, right? You'll find partnerships with people like that who have really invested heavily into making sure that the curriculum is ready, not just for Kenya for today, but also global for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So those are some of the interventions that we have been putting, even into the work that we're doing. Or Kibondeni College, that's another partner that we're working with. Really going down to the ground to see what does the market need. They have invested in their curriculum. And so for us, what we're also on the lookout for are these training partners who are able to really come up with curriculum that is fit for purpose for both employees as well as employers, for the Kenya we are living in today and the Kenya we want to live in 5 to 10 years down the road.
I know several institutions have been working on this. So the Federation of Kenya Employers has been saying that, you know, what we are getting out of our training institutions and what we are doing currently, mismatch. The TVET authority has been saying, okay, we hear you, and we're trying to adjust our curriculum so that then it fits for the purpose. The Ministry of Industry has also been saying, all right, so you guys at Education, TVETA, and us guys, industry, let's work together on how to do these things. ILO has also been in this country, and they've also been talking about, all right, the labor market and so on and so forth. Are you having conversations with these people? Are you in the same room with this? Because as a KCB Foundation, I mean, you're a strong organization. You come from a company that's really strong, and it's one of the core of Kenya KCB Group. Are you helping and supporting these conversations on how they can move towards actually ensuring that across the board, our TVETs, our universities are training for the job market?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we don't just take it as a good thing to do. We take it as I want to say, almost a moral imperative, right? That if you are in the position to be able to really come up or support good practice, like ILO, what you're talking about, they have a curriculum that I think is really good for training these young people or people who are in enterprise, they start or improve your own business, right? So what we have tried to do with the 2jiajiri program is through our interventions, right? We are trying to make sure that even when we partner with these business development support providers, right, they are actually training using the ILO SI, start or improve your own business curriculum, right? When we have conversations with the TVETs, when we have conversations with our partners in the counties, is also trying to have that conversation like, hey, what are we training in? Are we training in, this curriculum that has been proven to have like really good outcomes? And we are hopeful through our partnerships, through this joint intervention, that collective practice, you now continue to lift what it is that we're providing to young people, because really you didn't ask it, but I'll say it, we really needed to do better in terms of what it is that we are providing to job seekers as well as enterprises in the country.
Yeah, and even the people who are going to the job market, because they are only consuming what you give them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're young people, they don't know the better.
Yeah.
I mean, what they're being taught is what they think is what will land them a good job. And then they come out and they're told, huwezi hata kushona. So one of the other challenges that we hear and we even see is that our education institutions are not well equipped, right? So we are talking about skilling, let's say plumbing, electrical work, like you said, hair and beauty. But then you go into this vocational training college that doesn't have modern equipment for training. They are still teaching you how to do it with metallic pipes. And people moved on from metallic pipes a long time ago.
Yeah.
We are now on PVC pipes.
Right.
So how are you supporting them then?
So we are taking a phased approach. And right now, when we partner with training institutions, we usually go and do an assessment in terms of, are you fit for purpose? Also in the counties. And I think it's a variable lot, right? In terms of there's some who have, there's some who don't have, right? So right now our intervention has been with people who have, a modicum of the ability to provide this sort of training. And I think the other thing that you also alluded to in the previous conversation, I think this is something that requires like all hands on deck, right? And there are certain initiatives where you have people who are also coming in to actually kit out these TVETs, these training institutions, especially the public ones. There are also people who are working on the curriculum. And I think for us, what we have chosen to do is to intervene in terms of how do we provide scholarships to the people who have these market-ready skills, right? And to really make sure that this conversation is something that we are supporting. And by consistent funding of this sort of work, it's to also make sure that even these county TVETs have, a guaranteed source of funding, even for the training institutions are actually up to par. So I think it's a bit of a phased approach, and also something that we work in collaboration with other actors in this particular space.
And you not only just leave it at the point of fine, we will come back and we give you the knowledge that you need for the market, but you go further to ensuring that you issue capital through for businesses to start, and also toolkits and whatnot. And with all these in play, what are some of the outcomes that you've experienced, and how has this changed the lives of these young people?
So let me speak, for instance, of the toolkits. It's actually on the one hand, I think it's a really phenomenal story. It's also, on the other hand, maybe a slightly heartbreaking one. I don't know if you know Eric and Dennis. If you have a toolkit, you're a construction person, right? Not having a toolkit, if you're a plumber,
toolbox,
I'll go to Mjengo and I'll have my 400, right?
Yeah.
If I have a toolkit, on the other hand, I can get 1,200. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
800 more just because you came with your own toolbox.
Yeah.
Right.
That's daily, right?
Yeah.
So and then of course you can understand how those who have are going to get 1,200, and those who don't have, you're consigned to the 400, right? So for us, that intervention in terms of how do we make sure people who are exiting these programs also have access to toolkits, because really that is a force multiplier in terms of creating decent jobs, because sometimes it's not enough to create a job, you also have to create a decent job, right? So it's things like those toolkit loans. I think it's also important that I reference the fact that it's also provision to capital, right? In terms of, in any KCB branch across Kenya, we have bank officers who, if you go in as a young person, 18 to 34, and you have a business and you really want to try and make sure that you want to grow your business, you have the possibility of being able to access the 2jiajiri loan. That's, as I said, in all branches in KCB Kenya. And then the other one that I think is also important to reference is the fact that we have other partners who we've partnered with to try and see for people who are in certain spaces, especially especially like the poultry or especially like the livestock value chain, that they're really able to get access to off-taking of the produce.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the rate on the 2jiajiri loan?
So that one, it's usually, because at KCB we take a risk-based approach towards pricing. So it's you as an entrepreneur, you come in, and then what we have done is that we have really made sure that we are our bank officers are really trained to make sure that we interface with you properly, so that you can actually get an honest and good conversation with these young people. And when I say risk-based, we give loans depending on who you are. So your CRB, how long has your business been? Have you gotten this training, which has also now allowed you to maybe even have a better, stronger business, which will also go into what kind of loan that you're given. So it's all of that goes into pricing the loan.
If I've gone through the 2jiajiri program and I walk into your bank, do I get better terms?
Do you get?
Better terms? Because I've gone through your program.
I'm a fresh graduate of the 2jiajiri program.
Yes.
I have even been trained on financial literacy. I have come up with a business plan, and I've worked the KCB 2jiajiri program. And you've looked at my business plan.
Yes.
Do I get a preferential rate?
So what you get is in terms of, because as I said, the bank is also something that is regulated. The bank is the bank, right? And we are, and the bank is very, very careful in terms of making sure that our shareholder capital is also maintained, right? But what I can tell you for as a fact, right, is that when it comes to financing our young people, that young graduate that you've talked about, you walk through the bank, right? Those factors that you're talking about, right, are taken into consideration when we look at now, when the bank looks at now what kind of loan and what kind of rate are you going to get, right? That is the work that the bank has done, right? You're not just going to be treated as an arbitrary.
So that goes into play.
It does go into play, right? And that is across all the branches in the country.
I think just looking at it and seeing the kind of work that you've done, it's only 2016 and here we are now. Have you talked about all these many jobs, all these many enterprises that have started, all these many young people that have gone through training, and all I see impact. But I want to challenge you a little bit.
Challenge.
Right? As KCB Foundation, you're not just any other foundation. You are KCB Foundation. You have a lot of impact and a lot of influence, right? So from your education program, because you're really supporting very many people go through school, and we know the kind of challenges that we're having with the school bursary and school funding program, I wish KCB Foundation would actually participate in advocating for better policy on how to best fund our education system, such that the money that you're using now to fund education could go into something else, and there's a better management of our education school funding program. On this other side of the livelihoods, right? And we're talking about how do we make sure that all the people who go post-secondary, 1 million of them, well, slightly less than 1 million, and are going post-secondary into whatever level of tertiary education, that those ones are actually getting trained for purpose, for the job market. And that KCB would be able to use your influence in the room and say, all of you guys come together, let's sit, let's work towards improving.
And I think, Eric, as well, just to add to buttress what you're saying, I think as well as right now we are grappling with the curriculum, CBC and all that. And as we struggle to get market-ready individuals, perhaps you also demand to have a seat on the table and come up with a curriculum that will make these end product be ready for the market. So it starts from the word go.
Yep. Mandy, you're not a peripheral player.
No.
You're a very big player. Let us feel the impact of the very big player at that policy level. Respond. Kiitikio.
Challenge accepted, and also to say that we do and are in these spaces through the various bodies that we belong to, be it Kenya Bank Association and so on and so forth. So we are working in these spaces, but a challenge is a challenge, and that challenge has been accepted. So I think it's also to have more visibility on what it is that these interventions in these bodies that we belong to, what it is that we have been able to achieve. But really, we, as KCB Foundation, I recognize that we are Kenya's largest financial institution. So I really acknowledge that challenge is legit. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, if I had got more information about the 2jiajiri program, we've been talking about it, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
So, from the horse's mouth, we're at KCB Group on all social media. Also, our website, KCB Group/foundation. You can find all information there, and thank you, Eric, for that. All information will always and only be disseminated from the official KCB platforms. We are on X, formerly Twitter, we're on Instagram, on the website, various
TikTok.
Numbers. You can reach us in branches. We are everywhere, Eric and Dennis. We are everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. And Eric, let me just throw it out there. You know the very first KCB plate belongs to them, yeah? KCB number plate.
KCB 001.
Yes.
Was it KCB?
Yes.
Yo.
That is correct, Dennis.
KCB 001.
001. KCB Bank.
Okay, that's a good one. Mendy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Eric and Dennis.
Mendy Njenjo is the KCB Foundation Director. We've been talking about the KCB 2jiajiri program. Get more information, go to kcbgroup.com.
Correct.
kcbgroup.com, and you can then /foundation, and you'll get a lot of information about what the KCB Foundation has been doing. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.